Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have an art journal process video for you. I am working in my Dilutions art journal, loving it. It's almost full. We're going to work on one of these front pages. I'm actually just going to do a single page right here. I have a couple of papers pulled out from my Dina Wakley collage collective, which is just such a fabulous book to have for art journaling. Got some palette knives to play with and some acrylic paint. So we are just going to hop in and see what happens. I will link everything that I end up using down below. Otherwise, let's go. Okay, I did lose the footage from the very beginning of this page, but let me explain what it is I am doing. First of all, I put washi tape all around the edge of the page to create a border. That is a look I have been loving a lot recently. And now I am scraping acrylic paint onto the page using these palette knife scraper spatula things. I think they're called palette knives. I always call them spatulas because to me they look like little spatulas. And what they do is just create the most beautiful texture. I love, love, love this texture. I love this look. I think it is so pretty. I like to work with the paint when it's still wet. Now, acrylic paint dries really fast, so you do get some cool layerings, but I like how at times it blends really nicely. And basically I'm filling in all of the edges of the page. The white really knocks back the color a little bit, which is nice, filling in some of these spots. And I have already trimmed out a piece from that collage collective that I showed you earlier. So that's going to go in the middle. I already know what my focal point on the page is going to be. So this is all background, but I just love the look you get from scraping. Now you can do this with an old credit card, an old gift card of some sort. I just really like the feeling of the palette knives, the different sizes of them, and how you can get some different effects. And I've been having fun playing with this set. I picked it up from Amazon. One of my Patreon subscribers actually mentioned it to me, and I picked it up immediately because it's just so fun to play with. So have my focal point now on the page. I wanted to use this heart on the page also, but I decided the purple was too much. The piece was too much. So I'm going to tear it even more, kind of trimming it closer to around the heart. And then we're going to put the heart right in the person's chest right there. We're talking about, or I'm focusing on love radiating from within you. I'm thinking of those people that you meet that really just radiate such beauty and love and where that love comes from. And so I was just wanted to kind of emphasize where that heart was within the person. Red is a color I'm not super fond of, so I'm definitely covering that up again using the same scraping technique. And when I pull in collage pieces, I always like to add paint or mixed media or something over the top because I feel like it brings the piece in even more. And then I also liked how by adding the paint, especially a lot of white, it feels like this person is just kind of emerging out of nowhere, which I think is pretty darn cool. So I loved that look. I thought it was super cool. And what I want to do now is bring in a little bit more purple. I've pulled out a stencil. This is a Dilutions stencil with this kind of chevron diamond look. And I'm pulling out texture paste. I love texture paste. It's so fun to use. So what I'm doing is scraping out a big chunk of it and then adding some purple acrylic paint. Texture paste, you can add any wet medium and it will take on that color. So I'm mixing this really well. The purple matches nicely with the purple that is around the heart that I chose to put on the paper. And texture paste, you get a little bit of dimension. So this is going to be raised ever so slightly. Again, I'm just using palette knives. That was the tool of choice for this art journal page and I loved it and I cannot wait to play with these even more. But I scrape it the most common way I use texture paste is scraping it through a stencil. Then when you lift up the stencil, you have that really bold color. It's lifted ever so slightly. Again, this is helping incorporate my collage pieces in even more because I'm laying medium on top of them. And it just makes it feel like more of the page instead of just something that I glued on top of the page. I love how these pops of purple add a little bit more interest to the page, and then it's just this really pretty gritty pasty dimension. I know that sounds weird. Gritty and pasty maybe doesn't sound beautiful, but it's hard to pick up on camera, but it is so nice in person to have these little pops. I love how it's messy. I love how it's picking up some of the other paint. It's not solid throughout. I could definitely get a solid impression, but I liked that parts of it were kind of, you could see the paint coming through. I love how it came together. I was about to put some diamonds at the bottom, but then realized I wanted to add a title. So I pulled out some alpha stickers, and I'll show you that in a second. But first, let's do the most satisfying thing ever, which is remove that washi tape and discover the gorgeous border line. So pretty. I love how this looks. This is one of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm doing a single art journal page like this and not a double layout. But how pretty is that border around the edge? I love, love, love it. So cool. And it just cleans the whole thing up really nicely, brings it all together. I pulled out some alpha stickers. These have a little bit of a puff to them, so a little bit of dimension, and I'm going to add the title From Within in that bottom corner in the purple. It's a slightly different color purple, doesn't bother me at all. I think it still goes nicely with the whole spread. I hope you enjoyed coming on this little art journal adventure with me. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I will link the supplies down below, including that palette knife set. You will really enjoy that a lot. It's pretty inexpensive from Amazon, and it's just fun to play with, you guys. I can't wait to create some more art journal entries with these knives. So I think they're so fun. Not knives, palettes, whatever they're called. I love them. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon members. You can see I'm learning from them just like they are learning from me, and we're having a fantastic time over there. The community is great. There's a ton of extra content and just lots of bonuses and perks that you can receive over on Patreon. It's a great time to join at the beginning of the month. So take a look at the link for Patreon in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.